You know, in the year 2000 when NVIDIA launched the GeForce 2, not many people could afford it. It was quite expensive. For the rest of us, there was this, the GeForce 2 MX. At less than half the price, it got us all playing 3D games at very reasonable frame rates. Stick around, today we're going to look at this card, put it into an appropriate system of the era around the year 2000, get it benchmarking, playing some games, and reliving what it was like to have a GeForce 2 MX. And you know, this card really holds a special place in my heart because the GeForce 2 MX was the first NVIDIA GeForce card that I ever owned. You know, I bought the Asus V7100 it was, and you know, I loved it, that box. Even when I had the card in my computer, I had the box up next to my shelf, you know, showing it off proudly. I just loved it. And, you know, it allowed me to play games at pretty decent frame rates. So, you know, it was like, yes, I've got a GeForce. And I had an i740 before that. So you could imagine the upgrade was massive. You know, I passed on that i740 to my poor younger brother. But, you know, still, even that card, got him playing CS. We were able to play CS together. All good times. You know, graphics cards were getting pretty outrageous even back then, believe it or not. And not many people could afford those top of the range cards. You know, 3D cards and the whole LAN scene was really exploding at this stage. So you really wanted good frame rates. Now you could actually directly compare your frame rates to your friends because, you know, they were sitting right next to you. People were really understanding the importance of having a good 3D accelerator. While the GeForce 2 MX wasn't our dream card, it was a very realistic card that a lot of us could afford. And honestly, bang for buck, I don't think anything better at that time. So what we'll do is we'll look at the history of this card, where it sits in GeForce's line, then get it into the system and start getting it tested. Let's go. In '99, NVIDIA changed everything with the GeForce 256. This was the first card that was officially marketed as a GPU. It introduced hardware TNL, which stands for transformer lighting. It offloaded the geometry calculations from the CPU for the first time and onto the graphics card itself. At launch, SDR versions came in at $299 US, and then a faster DDR model came in at $349 US. So this is pretty expensive, high-end, serious enthusiast money. In early 2000, NVIDIA launched the GeForce 2 GTS. This doubled the pixel pipelines and cranked up that clock speed. It ended up coming out in a few flavors. The GTS cost $349, the GeForce 2 Pro at $399, and then the monster GeForce 2 Ultra at $499. This is absolute high-end monster. And then in mid-2000, NVIDIA did something special. They launched the GeForce 2 MX. It was pretty much just a cut-down version of the GTS architecture. It reduced the memory bandwidth and pipeline count, but kept the TNL. Suddenly, hardware TNL wasn't a luxury anymore, it was affordable. For many gamers, this was their first real GPU. And coming in at $179 US, it was almost half the price of a full GeForce 2. This was amazing value for the performance you were getting. So over time, there was a few variants of the GeForce 2 MX. The original is what we're looking at today. It came with a 175 MHz core and 166 memory with a 128-bit bus. They later released the GeForce 2 MX 200. This was even more cut down, really budget for OEM systems with only half the bus. Avoid this card at all costs, it's terrible. Later again, they released the GeForce 2 MX 400. This was simply a clocked up normal GeForce 2 MX really. The clock speeds were clocked up to 200 for the core and memory. These are speeds that you could pretty much easily achieve with the regular GeForce 2 MX just by overclocking it yourself. Okay, so here is the particular card that I have. GeForce 2 MX standard vanilla. This is what I had. I had an Asus version, which was pretty cool. It actually had a heatsink, but you know, these chips ran pretty cool and you know, could run without one apparently. So this one doesn't have it. I thought initially maybe someone removed it, but having a look online, this same card, the others don't have it either. So it looks like it simply didn't come with one. But what I will do is I will actually put one on there so we can keep it cool and you know, try a little bit of overclocking, see how we go. But yeah, this card is in fantastic condition. Okay, so these always usually had passive heat sinks. I never saw one with a fan, but obviously, again, the chip didn't get that hot anyway. There's no header for a fan anyway, even if you wanted to. So they usually had thin little passive heat sinks. I've got a really big chunky monster here. I'll plug this in. This would be more than enough. So this is one of those AliExpress jobs. It did come with a fan, but I've taken that off. It's got these sort of adjustable connector things that you can change depending on the distance where the thing plugs in. You know, got a big nice heat pad on there. I'll just use that rather than getting it messy with compound. The good thing is the heat pad's nice and sticky as well, so it'll stick to that chip. I think that's all you need. Again, these things didn't run that hot. They don't need this aggressive cooling, but I do plan to try a bit of overclocking, so let's give it its best chance. Okay, they're both through. This is a bit crazy. Maybe a bit of overkill. I don't think I'm going to have a card in the next slot, that's for sure. But, you know, looks like it's making nice, good contact. Yeah, that should give us a good cooling solution. Look, you know, if it's temporary, I'll have a look at something a little bit more slimline longer term. But for our current test and video, this should be fine. Or the other thing that we used to do back in the day was get you can get small little heat sinks for the memory to try and keep those cool, to try and, you know, so you can overclock the memory as well. Overclocking the memory generally gave you a lot more performance than the core, to be honest. Okay, so here's our test system, and this card, oh my god, it actually looks quite comical, doesn't it? That heatsink's huge. So I'll take out the existing card, which is a GeForce 2. So what we have here is a Pentium 3, 933 megahertz, 256 megs of RAM, ISA sound card, Vibra 16, not the best, but it'll do. All right, let's get this guy out. Okay, all plugged in, ready to test. You know, you'd think that I would test these cards before even attempting these videos, right? And a couple of times it's gone wrong for me, but most of the time they work, so I just plug it in and go with the flow. So you know what, we're gonna find out at the same time if this works. I sure hope it does, because I haven't any more GeForce 2 MXs. This is the only one that I have. All right, beep, good. Yes, yes. Don't let me down, buddy. We've got a lot of history. I really want this GeForce 2 MX to perform. What I'm gonna do, since it's booting up, which is excellent, what I'm gonna do is actually format the hard drive, give it a fresh copy of Windows 98, because this version that I have on here has been, you know, used to test other cards and sound cards and all sorts of stuff. So it's gotten a bit bulky and heavy, so I'm gonna refreshen it and give this card a really good chance to perform, because you know what, I really want it to. I want it to perform like it did in my memory. Okay, let's start things off with 3D Mark 2000. These frame rates are fantastic for a budget card. Look at that, 80s, 90s, really nice. Even touching the 100s, look at that. Here we go, even in the high detail, very respectable frame rates. This card was really a sensation, I must say. For the price you're paying, this is pretty damn impressive. Looking at adventure low detail now. Oh, how proud of this card I was back in the day. Look at these numbers, very nice. Wow, look at the frame rates in this tunnel. These texture rendering speed tests are going fantastic. Look at those numbers. Okay, here's our final score, 4,250, not bad. This is actually a pretty good score, very much on the upper end. These cards tend to benchmark from about 3,500 to 4,200, and this is just slightly above, so looking really good. And this is just the standard clock speeds. Okay, so I have installed the CoolBits little registry hack, which allows you to overclock these cards. So any NVIDIA card that you have detonator drivers on, you can go into the advanced section. Here we go, here's our GeForce 2 MX. Additional properties. So these are the standard clocks. So it looks like 175 megahertz and 166 megahertz for the memory. So you know what, let's give it a bit of a crank it up and see how far we can take it and see how much more performance we can get out of it. So looking on Google, they reckon this thing can go to 220. I'll go 210 on the core, and let's go 200 on the memory. Overclocking the memory generally yielded the best results. Okay, so let's run that benchmark again, overclocked. So here we are overclocked. So our score is 4613. It's about 8.5% of increase. You know, not too shabby, nothing spectacular, but you know, it's something. All right, let's do some Unreal Gold. Direct 3D. All right, let's go 1024 768, our favorite resolution, and 32-bit color. You know, this is where NVIDIA really crushed Voodoo. Voodoo's just stuck with the 16-bit color because they're really focused on keeping things as fast as possible. Wow, that looks awesome. Look at that reflection on the marble. Oh yeah. Frame rates, very nice. These 40s, 50s. Everything looks fantastic. That texture detail, really nice, very sharp. Let's go down to some fog. Yeah, that's looking good too. Oh yeah, this looks great with the fog here, really nice. Honestly, I've been testing some really low-end cards lately and I've seen this screen look absolutely atrocious. So it's nice to see it looking like it should. And this card renders it beautifully. Really nice. Frame rates, oh here we go, now we're starting to struggle. We've got the whole castle in the image. But look at the reflection on the floor, that marble looks wonderful. Okay, let's do some Half-Life Opposing Forces. Yeah, so this was a great little follow-up. It came out pretty much almost exactly a year after Half-Life did. And, you know, you play the military forces that you run across when you play as Gordon Freeman. Really cool game. You even have scenes where you see Gordon Freeman. I remember playing these games with this card so much. It was really good. I really loved my GeForce MX for Half-Life and Counter-Strike and all the mods that came out for it. So OpenGL was the preferred API. We always saw it as much better than Direct3D, especially the early Direct3D days, you know. OpenGL versus Direct3D. I really thought OpenGL was going to win. I loved OpenGL. And, you know, with Half-Life, all my friends, we always said, you know, OpenGL's better, had much better frame rates. So I'll go 1024, 768 OpenGL. And you play the bad guys. You play the forces that in Half-Life come in to clean out the mess that's in Black Mesa. All those soldiers that are shooting you as Gordon Freeman, well, you take one of their roles. This was such a cool game. Oh, look at that. You come on enemies. So yeah, the weapons are all modified from the original Half-Life. Some really cool alternatives here. Okay, so this is looking like it's frame capping at 60 FPS here. Let me have a look. I'm pretty sure I turned off VSync. Let's have a look. Vertical. Okay, no. Let's turn it back on again. Okay, turn off. Always off, please. There we go. It's better. Turn VSync off. So this game was actually made by Gearbox, not Valve themselves. So yes, this was released 1 year after Half-Life. Half-Life was released in 98. This was released in 99. And then in 2001, they released Blue Shift. But yeah, it was great. It was an interesting take on the Half-Life story. So you got to see it on the perspective of, you know, the soldiers that came and raided the place, and then the security officer in Blue Shift. These guys, friend or foe? All right, buddy, let's fight our way out. Let's go. Oh, frame rates, yeah, look, they're pretty good. 50. Whoa, turret. Oh, let's see what else I got in this arsenal. Oh, a sniper rifle. That's always good. Oh, there you go. Oh, this looks serious business. Oh yeah. Yeah, they had such cool weapons. Alright, you know, they had the typical military stuff, but then they also had the alien weapons, of course. These frame rates are fantastic. Look at this, you know. It's usually 60s, 70s here. Anything around the 60s was very playable back then. This is the 2000s. So yeah, back then, look at this. 60s, 70s, wonderful frame rates. Especially in multiplayer, you really wanted smooth frame rates to be competitive. Alright, let's have a look. Looks like there's some action up ahead. Oh god, there's an interesting weapon. What do you gotta feed it? Oh, it's a powerful weapon. Come on, take him out. Feed him some green marshmallows. There we go. Alright, now do the damage, buddy. The radioactive marshmallows really do some good damage. Yeah, it looks like it seems to be capping out at 72 frames per second, to be honest. I'm not sure if there's a... I haven't checked the frame max. It's funny when I fire this gun, it actually starts making me walk backwards. Look at this. From the recoil. That's pretty cool. Yeah, look at this. In close quarters, it's just locked at 72. These are great frame rates. This card, again, this card was great. I loved it. Spent many happy moments playing many awesome games with this card, and you know what? It did me solid. Did well. Okay, it's 1999 and Quake 3 Arena is here. Let's have a look at our system. So 1024768 32-bit color. Now what? Oh, it's already max. Okay, cool. All right, all good. Let's start with the time demo and then we'll play some game. Let's have a look at that score. Okay, 47.9. Pretty good. Right, very good frame rates here. Oh, a bit of a lag. Yeah, look at this. 50s, 60s, oh, even 70s, oh, 80s. Wow, it just keeps climbing. Well, it really varies what you're looking at, doesn't it? Ouch. Yeah, when you look at the whole map, it does obviously drop. When you look at a wall, yeah, it goes up. That's pretty normal. Ah, my God. These bots are giving me a hard time. Yeah, look, this is very competitive. I've got the details up, so it looks great. Oh my God. I'm not doing very well. Gaming was getting very competitive at this stage. You wanted an 80 Hz monitor. Some people would really drag the resolution down, put the details down, textures, etc. Just get as many frames per second as they possibly could. I remember watching people play Quake World or Quake, and oh my God, it looked like it had no textures at all. It looks so basic, but you know, that's what they did to maximize that frame rate. It wasn't about visuals, it was just pure performance. Oh yeah. Quad damage railgun, one shots anything. Oh. Yeah. Shooting someone with a rocket and quad damage that close, never a good idea. In this map, it's doing really well. Look at that. It's touching the 80s. Now this is a bit more of a closed map, so more walls compared to the open bouncy one. So yeah, this card is playing it so well. And you know, it's the way I remember it. I remember it did play so well. You know what a value this card was. It was for the price you're paying compared to the full-featured GeForce. You know, you really did get so much performance, so much bang for buck. No wonder they sold so many of these. And, you know, depending on your budget, even this was, you know, a bit of a stretch. It wasn't easy. If you're a poor student working minimum wage like I was back in the day, you had to save your pennies up. You know, you could tell people you had a GeForce 2, but you'd whisper the MX part. I love it when they, you know, when they bunch up and you've got quad damage. It's just beautiful. The splash damage of the rocket, just, you know, beautiful, perfect for crowd control. Just shoot in the general direction, and there we go. Just wipes them all out. Oh, this game is just so much fun. You know, when you're doing a benchmark and you just end up getting really sucked in and start playing the game, you know it's a great game. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's fantastic. You know, look, those frame rates are awesome. GeForce 2 MX does not disappoint. What a wonderful card. Okay, let's try some Star Trek Voyager Elite Forces. This was released in 2000, same year as the card, so hopefully we get some good performance. Let's go to configuration. Okay, I reckon we can do better than 800. 640 by 480. Let's go 1024768. We'll leave everything else on default. Alright, let's take out some Borg. Yes. Oh my God, where did you come from? I love the textures, environments, and this is really good, really cool. Yeah, so this was one of the highest rated Star Trek games made at the time. Oh yeah, my whole screen shakes when I hit one of those things. These frame rates look awesome. Oh, this guy's taking more hits. Oh no. Oh, these guys adapt, don't they? God damn it! Alright, I've got my special weapon they can't adapt to. Yeah, these frame rates are awesome. A lot of this stuff is all obviously indoors, so in a lot of these games, narrow hallways like this. I love the lighting effects and really cool gun effects. See you later. Oh, he's just taken off.
Hey, Monroe, if you're not back in 5 minutes, I'm not going in after you.
Thanks, mate. You saved the guy's life, and this is what you get. Yeah, apparently there is a multiplayer mode that was quite popular for this as well. I never played it myself, but yeah. Yeah, you can see it's, even though it is based on the Quake 3 engine, it is much more slower paced action, a bit more tense and cinematic, but very fun. Great game. This is a really great benchmark because it's the same year that the card came out, so these are the type of games that you would play if you bought this card. And I think it passes with flying colours, does really well. These frame rates are really good, fantastic. I was so happy with this card, look how well it plays these games. Okay, let's play some Max Payne. So Max Payne does use Direct 3D. It was released in 2001 by Remedy, and it really started this amazing cinematic comic book noir story, which was fantastic. Frame rate's pretty damn good. Picture quality looks amazing. Look at that. How cool is that graffiti look? Snow falling down, very nice. Very moody. Let's open this and get ourselves a shotgun. As soon as you get a lot more objects and polygons on the screen, it really does drag that frame rate down a bit, doesn't it? Right, let's get over and get ourselves into a firefight. Famously introducing us to bullet time. Wasn't that a thing? Oh, good old Matrix. Just changed all. Everything was bullet time and slow motion and all that sort of stuff. This was peak late 90s, early 2000s, this sort of stuff. Action movies, love the slow-mo with two guns firing, John Woo movies, all that sort of stuff. And look at this, and then the slow-mo. Whoa. Somehow I did not get shot once. That's the first time I've ever experienced that. This game is normally pretty damn hard. Lots of quick saving, quick loading the whole way through. Okay, so let's try hardware TNL. Yeah, yep. No, it's definitely better frame rates with hardware TNL. Definitely. We were in the mid 20s here. Wow, this is an amazing difference actually. We're really barely dropping below 30s. Before we were mid 20s most of the time, so there you go. Oh god, you know, the hard thing about this game was the crosshair was 1 pixel. Look at it, 1 pixel. When you got all this snow coming down, yeah, it's hard to realize which one of these white dots is your crosshair. This is a legendary game that really did make a lot of people upgrade hardware. The GeForce 2 MX handles it pretty good. Okay, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 came out in 2002, so this is 2 years after the release of the GeForce 2 MX, so I'm going to expect it to stress it a little bit more. 2 years was a long time in hardware in the early 2000s and late 90s. Every year things changed quite a bit. Hardware became obsolete very quickly. Okay, it's 800 by 600. You know what, let's stick with 800 by 600 to start off with. If it handles that well, then we can bump it up to the 1024 768. Okay. Oh, these frame rates don't look very good, do they? Oh my god. Oh, this is not good. Yeah, this game really did push cards quite a bit, even in its own, around its own years that it was released. A lot of car reflections, big environments with long draw distances. Looked amazing, but it was very taxing on the hardware. Yeah, this is running very slow. Oh, here we go. It's okay. Once we get... Oh no. Once we get rid of the other cars being rendered on our screen, the frame rate did improve dramatically. But even then, it's not anything special. It's really starting to struggle. The card is starting to show its age now. Graphics do look amazing. It is rendering the scene, there's no errors, no artifacts. It's just the frame rate that's struggling. And I think this is where the memory of the GeForce 2 MX really starts to suffer. You really need much faster memory. It's, look, it's, I guess, do I say it's playable? I'm not sure. It's difficult to play. You can still play the game, but it's not ideal at all. Yep, it's amazing how much changed in a year or two. A card that was running everything perfectly fine all of a sudden really starts to struggle. And this is why, computing and computer games were a very expensive hobby. What you also had was be the cop mode. Instead of trying to outrun the cops, you became the cops and tried to bust these guys. Let's give that a go. Alright, let's see if we can bust these guys. Yeah, this map is a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit. We got mid-20s. Yeah, buddy. T-bone him. Come on. What the hell happened there? He just he teleported across my car. Oh my god. Whoa. Yep, looks like I'm going through Greece. Look at that, the Acropolis up there. He had a head on with a taxi. Oh, this game really could do some funny stuff. So there it is. Wow, what an awesome card. You know, just like I remembered it. It was a fantastic card that had great strengths, but you know, it did start to get a little bit more limited once you went into 2002. So anything 2000, 2001 is sort of hung in there, but once we moved on, it did start to struggle. But you know what? 2 years was a very long time in hardware back then. Usually you had to upgrade nearly almost every 12 months. So, you know, the GeForce 2MX did really well. Now, thanks to this card, NVIDIA's shipments exploded. The amount of sales they had was astronomical. And, you know, they obviously sold much, much more GeForce 2MXs than they did the GTSs or the Ultras. These cards were everywhere because they were very affordable. They brought the gaming to the masses. They're in a lot of OEM systems as well, like Dell, HP, and Compaq. This was the period, in my opinion, when NVIDIA really started to take hold and absolutely dominate the market. You have to realize that this card released in 2000, late 2000 was when 3DFX went out of business. And NVIDIA ended up buying all their assets. You know, when $350, $400 video cards were becoming the norm, NVIDIA released this gem at almost half the price and allowed us all to be able to game at reasonable rates. While the GTS and Ultra might have been winning all the headlines and getting all the attention, it was the MX that really won our hearts and our homes. And you know, for me, this card wasn't a compromise, it was an upgrade. It made gaming normal, and I did come from an i740. I think the GeForce 2MX, while it wasn't the most powerful card in its generation, I think for NVIDIA it was probably the most important. It really cemented their domination. So tell me about your experience. Did you have a GeForce 2MX back in the day? Or the MX4, MX440? There was quite a few variants. You know, the MX line did keep going for a little bit afterwards as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. Love chatting with you guys and hearing all that feedback. If you want to support my channel, you can do so. I'll have some links in the description. So thank you again for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.